What if personal development or personal growth or working on yourself, what if that's pushing you further away from really getting to know the real you? Over the years, I've been an avid personal development person, attended thousands of hours of seminars and read hundreds of books. Can't remember most of the information and most of them. Listened to thousands of hours of audiobooks and attended online seminars and in-person seminars. And truth be told, most of it has just led me to being more confused. Most of it has led me to just kind of being more like other people and not really knowing myself. And, you know, it's really funny because there are times where I hear myself speak. Sati will make a joke often where I'll say something and I'll catch myself or she'll catch me and I sound like one of the people that maybe I've had mentoring by over the years. And although I'm really for modeling, you know, in neurolinguistic programming, they talk about modeling and how, succeeding in life is a recipe, and a recipe has, ingredients and an order and a sequence in which to mix them. And if you mix them in the right order, you'll get the right recipe. I also buy very much into something that I've intellectually heard for years, but I'm now even more conscious of applying, which is Tony Robbins, who says, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Said another way, if right now you feel any sense of this resonates, if at any level you feel that your life is not by design, if at any level you feel like the things that you're doing have been recommended by somebody else, but you don't feel like they're really what you want to do, like maybe you're living in a dream house that isn't your dream house, maybe it's the dream house of the Joneses, right? Maybe you're driving a really nice car and maybe sometimes you question why you drive that car, right? Maybe sometimes you recognize that there are payments going out for that car and you kind of think about maybe every now and again, is this really the best use of my money? Like for years I drove until only a few years ago, a overpriced, unnecessary, white brand new BMW, which I didn't own, it was leased. For reasons that at the time I didn't know. At the time I just thought it was just a nice car and I deserved it. And on reflection, fundamentally the primary reason I got that car is because I wanted to impress people. Specifically, I wanted to impress my father-in-law because I'd felt since Sati and I had met, Sati's Indian, and one of the things that was felt to me in the early stages of our relationship is that that side of the family didn't accept me, which actually they did, but I was giving off a vibration of not being accepted because of my own childhood issues and trauma and things that are unresolved, where I basically would, any indicator that anybody didn't love every part of me, I would just get really angry and really aggressive. And I'm aware it still sometimes happens, but it's a lot less so than it used to be. And anyway, going back to the point was, I got this car because I remember the day we drove it round to Sati's parents' house and I was kind of proud of this car and thinking, my father-in-law's going to accept me now because I drive a fancy BMW. And I think maybe the conversation was around the lines of why we didn't get a Mercedes instead, which is hilarious now when I think about it. But my point is that I believe that sometimes we do things and we don't even know if they're the things that we want. We just assume that they are what we want because somewhere, somehow, our unconscious mind told us that that's what we want and that's what we desire. And we don't actually know until we do the work and we recognize that ultimately all we ever want is to feel loved and to feel enough. And there's so many simpler ways of doing it. And I want to speak about that a little bit in this video. There's a couple of concepts I want to talk about in this video. The first concept is the art of what's called individuation. So this morning I was listening to like an audio from a coach that I am having coaching by, and it was in one of his courses. And he spoke about how anybody, I try and remember exactly what he said, I can't paraphrase it, but he said anybody that has any low sense of self-worth, if they grew up without having themselves validated and being basically, if they didn't have parents that filled them with words of affirmation, then it would be likely that they would grow up with low or variable levels of self-esteem that would fluctuate massively. So for me, my self-esteem would fluctuate, and like if somebody gave me praise, it would like go through the roof. And then if somebody didn't give me praise or rejected me, it would go way down. And it was just really, it just over the years, my self-esteem and self-worth has just been totally volatile, totally intrinsically tied into what other people think of me and, you know, their validation or invalidation of me. And so this coach is basically talking about the importance of what's called individuation. You may want to write that down. So individuation, what it fundamentally means is the art of, Mark Manson, I think, says this in a more non-PG way, if you're familiar with his kind of books, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a. And what's really amazing about that phrase is most people that say they don't give a do, right? So if I've ever said it, which I don't think I do say it, but I think it, if I've ever thought or said I don't care about X or what X says, then in the past, generally, I do. And most people that feel the need or the necessity to say that phrase or think that phrase probably do. It isn't until we are kind of unconsciously detached from something or someone that things seem to change. So for example, when I remember wanting and needing a girlfriend, I couldn't get one. Then I started telling myself through words of affirmation, I don't need a girlfriend. And I still was not attracting a girlfriend because I was saying I didn't want a girlfriend as a way of trying to like, say, okay, universe, I don't really want a girlfriend. But deep down I did, right? And it wasn't until I even let go of those words of affirmations out loud and inside and just was like, I give up. The minute I gave up, like properly gave up and let go, I attracted, you know, and then shortly after that I met Sati, and, you know, now we've been, you know, together for 10 years and married with 2 children. So individuation basically means that you have to not give a, but not like in a, like, oh, I really, you know, I'm not bothered about guys now because I'm focused on my career, you know, like, or I'm not bothered about that opportunity. I'm just focused on this, you know. Anytime you say it, but you have to be really honest with yourself. If you're saying something and only like, you can lie to yourself, but your gut intuition just knows, right? So individuation is basically the art of not giving a, but actually feeling it congruently, right? And actually what's really powerful I found as a way, the fastest way I found into this is admitting when you do care. So like in this moment, I can say, I do care about people commenting on this video and liking it and finding it useful. Like I do care about that because I have a human need of significance. And at my core, at my baseline, the way I was raised, my emotional regulation, my lack of like nurturing that I wanted and yearned for as a child, that's there. Like there's an inner child inside of me that wants that and needs that. And that's never going to go away. And actually a big part of individuation is about accepting the parts of you that you've maybe previously made wrong. So like I used to make me wanting significance and validation, approval wrong. Like I would just deny it. Like I remember when I first studied Tony Robbins' 6 Human Needs. I remember having a conversation with a friend and saying, I'm just focusing on 5 human needs now, not 6. Which is just ridiculous because it's a need. It's not like a desire. And that probably made it worse, right? And it wasn't, I'd love to say that, and then overnight I changed and everything's fine now. But it isn't. I'm still aware of it. But what I found is the art of owning the parts of you that you don't like, or owning the parts of you that you previously not accepted, is a really powerful way of detaching. So like me saying, I want people to like this video. I'm willing to admit that. I want people to like me. Like I want people to send me a direct message after this video and tell me that this video has been really, really, really impactful, changed their life, and now they want me to coach them. Like I want that, right? I'm willing to admit it. What's the saying? Kanye West says, we're all self-conscious. I'm just the first to admit it. I love that. I love that. Okay, what's that song? All falls down. Didn't think I'd sing Kanye in this video. Anyway, I digress. So individuation's really key. And I found recently one of the really most powerful ways I've found to individuate is in one of the things I've been doing sort of 2 or 3 times a day lately is inner child meditations. I can share with you the particular one I've been doing. And what's really powerful about this type of meditation is by spending time, eyes closed, visualizing yourself, doing something with your inner child, it gets you back to a point in time where you were best at individuating. So like when so in this meditation, I'm by the flat where I used to live, and I will go to the grass outside the flat where I used to live, and my 7-year-old self will be there, and we play football, and I hug him, and I say all these positive things to him and all this. And anyway, I eventually take him back to the flat. He goes back up to the bedroom window that I used to live. I wave him goodbye. I get in the car and I drive home, right? You don't, obviously we stop at the me waving and that's the end of the meditation. But my point being is the more and more I do that, the more and more I'm reconnecting with the part of me that I made wrong, which was the part of me that was individuating. Because as I got older, I was discouraged from individuating, as many of you maybe did or were, you know, right? You're at school. School discourages individuation. You know, like one of my biggest fears about Sage going to school is teachers who don't individuate and have disconnected from their inner child are now teaching my child how to learn and how to grow and how to be a human being. That's my greatest concern, is teachers who have disconnected from their own inner child. And so now they're teaching people, all right? And they're teaching children, and maybe they aren't fully, they've disassociated from that part of themselves, and now they're raising my child. Anyway, that's a story for another day. My point is, I found that inner child meditation is a really, really powerful way of you learning to accept the parts of you that maybe you've previously made wrong or bad or that you're ashamed of. And for me, like when I think about me as a kid, things that I was really enthusiastic. Like, you think I'm enthusiastic now? I was really enthusiastic. And then it's interesting because years ago I did these videos called Miles's Morning Motivation, and like they had like 250,000 views, and I really enjoyed doing them. And then I started to do a different type of inner work, and what I did is I made that enthusiasm wrong. So what I did is I was so like animated in those videos, like to a point where I was probably like pumping myself up and probably putting on a persona for those videos. They weren't like as authentic and as congruent as maybe these are now, and as probably my videos will be years from now, right? Because this is just another chapter in my story, right? But they're more congruent, I feel, than the ones that I did like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, whenever they were. But see, what I was doing is I was using the enthusiasm part, but I was hiding the shadow part. And so these videos now are more about me bringing out the shadow part and even bringing more of the enthusiasm, more of the inner child back. And actually, it is when we do the work, the inner child work, and we work on that individuation, that we help to reintegrate. Like in NLP, they talk about parts integration. And what that fundamentally is the ability to reintegrate parts of self, basically get your team, like there's parts in you that are a team, getting the team to be on the same page. And like England's football team could learn a bit about that, right? Let's not go there. So the point being is individuation is a really, really important thing. If you want to have more confidence, if you want to have more self-esteem, if you want to have just better self-belief, you've got to individuate. You've got to get to the point where you couldn't give a, but not like in a affirmation way that isn't real. And I found that the fastest way to get there is through going back to the core source of you. And the fastest way to do that is inner child work, inner child meditation, and doing it consistently, like every day, spending time with your inner child, imagining that it's like a little imaginary friend. And that I found is a really, really powerful way of getting to the point where you really do start to really detach from the opinions and the validation of others and instead focus on internally validating self. So anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed today's video. As I said earlier, comment, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts, what you've got out of this one. And hey, look, by the way, for those of you that don't know, I am a coach for a living, and we have a life coach training company. Every Saturday, we do a foundation life coach certification. If you want to know more about that, want to attend one of our live free workshops that I do on a Saturday, somewhere underneath this video, especially if you're watching on YouTube, there will be a link where you can get yourself registered. So hopefully at some point I'll see you there. Anyway, that's it for now. See you next time. Take care. Goodbye.